enduring hardships, the tears of pain I shed today will be the tears of joy I shed tomorrow. I'm Coach MJD Tiger, certified life coach and mentor, and we are on this journey together to find peace, passion, and purpose by enduring hardships and not getting knocked down and staying there, but to rise and to be more than we were the moment before and to grow in the next moment. And we can do that by focusing on our self-love, self-respect, self-control, and to bravely and boldly embrace who we are unconditionally. And if no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall. Learn, laugh, and level up. How are you feeling? How are you feeling in your mind? How are you feeling in your body? How are you feeling in your heart? How are you feeling in your soul? Taking a moment each day to think in silence and to address each of these areas is a daily healthy practice that will lead you to your passion and your purpose and to balance you out every single day. When we ask ourselves through mind, body, heart, and soul how we are feeling, we get the answers we need and we know we need to focus on. How are you feeling? Trust yourself. Trust that you have it within you to get through the next moment. Trust that whatever is beyond your control, whatever is beyond the reach and the scale of where your mind, your body, your heart, and your soul can endure in this moment, trust that what's beyond you doesn't matter. What's behind you doesn't matter. What matters is this moment. Trust that you are strong enough to endure the next moment, the next obstacle, the next test, the next mountain, the next volcano. Trust yourself that you are making the right decisions and that you will stand tall and bravely and boldly endure the consequences of those decisions. Trust yourself that you are more than what your limited beliefs are telling you. Trust yourself that you are capable of being in a loving, healthy, non-toxic relationship. Trust yourself that you are everything you know you were born to be. Trust yourself that you will go further than you ever imagined through discipline, self-love, and self-control. You are here now. Trust yourself. Wheat Horizons, Episode 8, Your Life is Valuable and Essential. This particular podcast is one that isn't the easiest to get through, but we will get through it moment by moment. But it's essential to talk about this, just as we are valuable and essential in life. There are a lot of valuable and essential things that we have to focus on in life. And one of them is being all about us and how we truly feel about ourselves in this world and what we can get out of it. Not only from this world, but what can we get out of ourselves to make positive contributions to the people around us, to the environment. It's a big responsibility when we look at it and we pay attention to it and we dive into it on the deepest levels possible. And sometimes when we go to those deep depths, we end up too far down and we end up in the basement of our emotions and we end up in the basement of our feelings. And for someone who went through a depression for nearly a decade after my father passed away when I was 14 years old, I can tell you I went down to the depths to the point where I didn't want to live anymore. And it was very scary. And those are some of the most realest emotions you will ever go through. And part of Wheat Horizons is the whole concept, that metaphor is about being in this valley, but also being in a state of introspection and reflection about who you are, what you've done. And sometimes even after you've accomplished something, like I say, you go over a mountain, you go over a volcano, you enter the valley. If you turn around and look back at that volcano and that mountain, yes, you accomplish it, but there's this overwhelming sense of sadness and solace that comes over you because you turn around and you see in front of you another mountain and another volcano, and this temporary feeling of happiness is temporary. In order to maintain it, we're going to have to maintain it while we endure things like the mountain and volcano. And in the real world, that means enduring things like people passing away in our lives, relationships ending, jobs ending, moving to a different place, anything that's a big, huge change in our life that we have no control over. Those things can get us into a very, very dark place. And there's a quote that I really like about being buried by people and they didn't know that you were actually a seed. So, they bury you. Life, so to speak, even buries you. But they didn't know you were a seed and that you would grow again. And it's a beautiful quote. It's a beautiful way of thinking about life and how essential we are in it. Even when things are going wrong, when all the odds are stacked against us, we are still valuable. And again, I'll go back to some of the darkest moments because that's how you really get to these places. And you have to remember your deepest, darkest moments in your life to really appreciate just how valuable and essential you really are. And those deep, dark depths into the abyss of your past, into your memories, into your childhood, into all the things that didn't go right and all the failures and disappointments, it can keep you in that basement. And in that basement, there are shackles and chains. And we talked about this in a previous podcast. If you spend too much time down there, you'll either forget that you're chained up or not know you're chained up at all. And when you go to leave, you're not going anywhere. You didn't realize you were chained to the darkness. I went through this. And again, those emotions that are attached to being that down into the darkness, when every time something goes right, it feels like 10 other things go wrong. It will put you in a place, if you're not emotionally strong enough to fight against it, where you may feel like you don't want to live anymore. And again, speaking for someone from experience, I didn't go through this. It's one thing to think about it. It's another thing to attempt it. And I have to admit that I attempted it twice. I won't say how I did it, but it wasn't anything crazy or anything. But I was in my teenage years. I wasn't even an adult yet. And some of the most deepest, darkest, realest emotions I've ever felt came around those moments where I knew I didn't want to be here anymore. But fortunately for me, both attempts did not work, and I'm here. And at this point, I do have to say, if you're even thinking about taking your life, please call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. The number is 1-800-273-8255. Obviously, you can Google it, and I'll put a link in the description below. Trust me, you are essential. If you're listening to this and you're feeling that dark and that down, your life is valuable and essential, or you wouldn't be here still. And even if you were gone, your life still would have been here still, because you will always be here because you were here. Nothing on this planet is worthless. Nothing. No person on this planet is worthless. We all have value. We are all essential. It's just hard for people to see it because we have all these judgments pressed against us. You have all these judgments pressed against you. You feel the weight of your past and of your family upon you. You feel the disappointments and the failures upon you. You feel the relationships that you want so bad not working out for you. You feel the financial loss. You feel the material loss. You feel like you're not in the right place. These things are heavy, and the clock keeps ticking over and over and over again. Each second goes by, the clock keeps ticking. You're getting older, and you feel like the older you get, the more you're carrying. The more luggage, the more baggage, the more darkness, just weighing you down. But if I could say anything to you, I would say you are so much stronger than you're giving yourself credit for. You're so much more brave and bold than you're giving yourself credit for. But you have to look up. If you're in that darkness, you have to look up and wait for the light to shine. You may have to wait longer than you want to, but eventually, no night lasts forever. Eventually, that sun is going to come up. That light's going to come back into your life. You have to be patient with yourself. You have to be patient with the process. One of the most selfish things we can do in life, and I can tell you this, the first thing that came over me when I made my attempts was that I felt extremely selfish, because I'm taking the quote unquote easy way out, but I'm leaving behind hurt and pain on people who do not deserve it, who thought better of me, who thought I was stronger than that, who knew I was stronger than that, and they were right. I was. That's not to say who people who go through with it are weak. This is a very serious matter. It just means they made their decision. But that's what it is. It's a choice. It's not something you have to do. It's something that you feel you need to do to rid yourself of the fears. I worked through my issues one day at a time, but I did it through purpose. I knew getting through my depression when every time I would accomplish something, again, this is why I'm talking about this, is it usually happens when we accomplish something. We think everything's going right. We're content, we're satisfied, and something happens and it rips our hearts out. And we have to start all over again. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's life. Another mountain, another volcano. But we make everything else in our life bigger than who we are, when the biggest things in our life should be ourselves, not other people. We do not need other people for our happiness. We do not need other people to validate our existence. We do not need other people to tell us we're valuable. We should know all that ourselves. The reinforcement comes from those outside things. But you are already strong enough now. We don't need someone to tell us we're strong. We know we're strong. But we have to match that with the behavior of being strong. The mindset. Mind, body, heart, and soul. Quitting is not an option. We have obligations to the people who care for us. Not giving enough effort in our own lives is not an option. We have obligations to ourselves to show up for other people, to do the things that we signed up for. In my case, I have a son. That would never be an option. Being unhealthy for me now is not even an option. Because I take my son seriously, I take my relationship with him seriously, and I take my path through life seriously. But I don't take myself so seriously where I'm going to turn myself into this pressure-filled, anxiety-ridden, depression-burdened person. At some point, you have to look up and damn near smile and say, "Is that all you got, darkness? Because I'm not afraid of you. I can climb out of this pit whenever I want to. I will unshackle these chains, I will climb these walls, and I will climb right out of this when I'm ready to, when I feel I'm strong enough, when I have the right motivation and inspiration to do it. And it would be one of the hardest things you ever do, and it takes time. But coming out of that darkness, rising bravely out of that darkness will change your life forever. You will never forget coming that close to ending something for yourself, but making the choice not to and to move forward. One of the proudest moments of my life right now, the moments I think about the most when it comes to my growth. Yes, my awakening as an adult helped, but overcoming those attempts and also dragging myself out of a depression through purpose. I started changing my life for the better by doing things, actively doing things that was not anywhere close to the fears that I had in life. And at that time, it was the fear of loss. My father was gone. I feared every person that came in my life was going to leave me. And I filled that void with music. I went to film school. I was in college. On the weekends, I played gigs, made money. I tried to stick with my friends. I tried to stick with my family, and I tried to stick with myself. But I kept busy. I didn't allow the girls in my life to dictate my mood. I didn't allow which school I went to dictate my mood. I didn't allow what car I drove to dictate my mood. I moved through each and every day as if I was a ghost. I just wanted to get by and get to the next day. I'd slip through anything. Whatever I had to do to avoid any negativity, I did that. And it slowly pulled me out of that depression. I changed the people I hung out with. I no longer valued myself as somebody who could only be validated if they were in a relationship or drove a certain car or wore the nicest clothes and shoes. I started validating myself as I'm me. I'm just me. And damn it, that's good enough. It's good enough. And if it's good enough for me, it will be good enough for everyone else. I had nothing to prove. But there are some responsibilities we have as human beings, especially if we have children. They see us and they see themselves. I'll say that again. They see us, and through us, they see themselves. Our behaviors, what we do, influences them in a big way. We imprint on them. And as they get older, it just gets worse. Because if we're not leading by example, that's what we have to look forward to, our mini-me's. And if our mini-me's aren't like us, then there are some ways our enemies. Our mini-me's can become enemies when we don't show them by example how we would want them to move if we were in their position. And that's where empathy comes in. Your life cannot be measured in one day. It's measured over the course of your lifetime. And the only way it can be measured, we have to have you in the light. You can't measure something in the darkness with no light. So either way, in order to get through life, we have to find a way to get into the light, maintain it, and grow it. So when the darkness comes, we're prepared. We're not going to get lost. We're not going to fall into a pit and get shackled. We're going to keep moving. We'll know during the night that sun's going to come up and day will come. So there's no need to panic in the night. We have the morning yet to come. And with that morning, with the sun, with a new day, you are reborn. You have another chance. You have another shot. And that's all we can ask for as human beings. It's one of the greatest things we need to be grateful for every single day, is that we wake up and we get to at least attempt another day on this planet, because it's not guaranteed. It is not guaranteed. And we waste so much time focusing on things, people, places that we cannot control. We get into these really horrible relationships that we cannot control. We get involved in certain aspects of our careers that we cannot control. There's a lot out there that we can't control. But the one thing we can control, we ignore, and that's ourselves. I'm going to reiterate this one more time. If you don't believe you're the strongest person you ever met, you are lying to yourself, because you are. If you believe you have reached your apex in life, no matter if you're 25 years old or 55, you're not being accurate with your self-assessment. You have so much more to give. There's 365 days in a year. If you grew 1% each day, look at the percentage of growth in 1 year. But there has to be an active campaign on your part to want to obtain that. To want to look up and get yourself out of that pit. To acknowledge the fact that, yes, your childhood, your teenage years, your young adult years, your 20s, your 30s, maybe they're not so great. Maybe we do have some really horrible traumas stemming from our childhoods. Maybe we do have abusive family members and friends. Maybe we aren't the best in school. Maybe we can't keep that dream job. We have to trust that if all those things went away, we would still be able to survive, and not only survive, but to thrive. And that can only come from you really embracing who you are and really embracing the value that you offer. And if anyone says, hey, you have nothing to offer, let them project their bullshit somewhere else. You have plenty to offer. You have more than enough to offer. It's about execution. It's about focusing on what you have to give and giving it. It's about practicing what you preach. It's about walking with confidence through life, knowing that you have this safety blanket of your purpose, of your values, your morals, and your principles. That the better person you are, the better people that you are going to be gravitated towards you and that you're going to align with. We have to get it out of our heads, though, that all this is going to come simple and easy, because it doesn't. You're valuable and essential to this world because of your uniqueness, because of your own personal way of moving through life and how you interact with people. Only you can do that. There's only one you. And if you take that away from the world, you're giving up a vital part of this world. That's not just filler talk. It's essential. We all need to feel that way. I watch UFC and boxing. When a fighter gets in the ring, He has to believe he's the best fighter in the world and the best fighter of all time just to get even in the right mindset to go against his opponent. We have to feel the same way. We have to feel we're the best versions of ourselves possible, and we're better each and every day. We're not competing with other people. We're just trying to grow each day. Each day adding another layer. The only way we can do that is by being aware of our value in the first place. If we devalue ourselves, others will devalue us. If we stand in that pit of darkness alone, no one's going to be eager to come down there and join you if you're not even attempting to get out of it. There must be action. There must be effort to get yourself out of that dark place. To look forward and say, there is the mountain volcano. I have all this anxiety. I don't know if I could do this again. I don't know if I can get over the hurdle this time. I was stronger last time because I knew the finish line was coming. Now I got to start all this over again. Why does this happen to me? Why can't I just stand here and not do anything? Because that's not what human beings do. We're designed to grow. We're designed to learn, to laugh, to love. We're designed to, if you want to call it design, or we were grown, created, whatever you believe in. We're here because we have purpose. There are those who live very short lives, and there are those who live very long lives. We can't guarantee how much time we have here, but we can guarantee ourselves no matter how much time we have here, we're going to use it to fill it with things that are positive. And we cannot just keep standing in that pit of darkness, because eventually people are going to get bored with it and say, you're not willing to help yourself. So why should I keep focusing on something you don't even care about? It's your life. And they'd be right. It is your life. It's not going to serve you to end it. It's not going to serve you to make excuses for it. It's not going to serve you to stand still in the darkness and not do anything. Courage is about standing up and going against that person, place, or thing that is going to destroy you from the inside out if you allow all that negative energy to keep piling up on top of you where it feels like a burden. You will regret having not done something about it. You will look back in the future. You'll look back and say, why wasn't I a little bit stronger? Why didn't I fight a little bit longer? Why didn't I see that all I wanted was right in front of me? And I chose to do something different because I was too weak to live in the moment. Living in the moment is hard, but that's why we take it one moment at a time. Because if we try to take on all the complexities of every moment we're in every single day, it's too much. It's too much. You're more valuable than that. And you are surely essential. This world needs you just like it needs every blade of grass, just like it needs the atmosphere. You're all part of it. You're stronger than what you've given yourself credit for. Far stronger. You know what you have to do. You know what path you're on. You know when that path feels right and when it feels wrong. When it feels wrong, it's time to course correct. But when it feels right, it's time to get moving and start building upon it. Nobody's going to do it for you. But I don't believe that they have to. I believe you're stronger, far stronger, and full of self-love and self-respect for yourself. You have the discipline to do this. It's all about getting started. Appreciation and gratitude for what you have. If you don't lose sight of that, and you're grateful every single day, and you're humbled and you're satisfied, you will find purpose every day. And when you look up, that sun will be right above you before you know it. And if no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall. Learn, laugh, and level up.